Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Today, I want to talk about what expats can do if they run out of money in the Philippines and the risk factors that go along with it. You see, unexpected events can lead to financial difficulties, placing expats in a precarious situation. Exhausting your funds is a serious issue that can have significant personal and legal consequences. We will focus on how you can navigate these challenges safely without the risk of being banned from the Philippines, as well as provide complete advice on how to handle these situations. Stay tuned. You must realize that the Philippines lacks government programs aimed at offering financial aid or welfare to foreign nationals. Unlike the United States or other Western countries with strong social safety nets, in order to survive here, expats are typically required to be self sufficient. Overstaying your visa is a significant immigration violation and should be one of your primary concern. You risk exceeding your allowed stay if you cannot afford a return ticket or renew your visa. This could lead to penalties and fines. These fines can accumulate quickly, whether paid daily, monthly, or as a lump sum. The fines increase with the duration of your overstay if you do not take timely, proper action. Deportation is a potential outcome. Long-term overstaying can lead to deportation, especially if accompanied by other immigration violations, such as working without the necessary authorization. You also face the risk of detention in severe cases, or if you fail to comply with immigration orders, you may be arrested and detained at the Bureau of Immigration facility while awaiting deportation proceedings. Being deported frequently leads to being placed on a blacklist, which prevents you from returning to the Philippines for a set amount of time or possibly forever. Future visa applications for other countries may suffer as a result of this. The loss of your safety and dignity is another consequence. Financial distress can lead to starvation, homelessness, and vulnerability to abuse in the event of a health emergency. Without money, it may be impossible to access essential medical care, which could exacerbate any pre existing health issues. Proactive action is crucial as soon as you realize that your financial resources are running low. The best course of action is to stay calm and methodical because panic can impair judgment. Determine how much money you have in cash, local and foreign bank accounts, and digital wallets. It is best to have at least $1,000 to buy a ticket back to your home country. You will know the time is right when you are down to your last $1,000. If or when that time comes, don't delay. Book a flight before you are completely out of money. If you are short on money, determine what you can sell, such as gadgets, jewelry, cars, motorcycles, or even furniture. Regarding their resale value, be reasonable. Don't always expect to get what you think they are worth. Examine debts. Keep track of all ongoing debts, such as credit card balances, personal loans, and unofficial borrowings. Recognize the repayment plans and interest rates. Determine the monthly essential expenses. Find out how much accommodation, food, utilities, and transportation will cost you at the very least. Stop spending on anything that is not necessary. Check the expiration date and assess your visa status. Be aware of the precise expiration date of your present visa. This is the most important deadline you have. Examine the costs and prerequisites for extending the type of visa you already hold. The Bureau of Immigration website is the official source. Make sure you have the funds to pay for an extension when needed. Speak with the embassy or consulate of your home country. Your embassy or consulate is your primary point of contact in an emergency. Even if you usually aren't able to cover airfare or financial aid, they can still be of great help. In situations of severe poverty, several embassies may provide emergency repatriation loans. Nevertheless, these are typically a last resort and require repayment. In the event that your passport is lost or expires, they might also help you get emergency travel documents. They can frequently offer a list of trustworthy organizations, English speaking medical professionals, and local attorneys who may be able to help. They might also make it easier to communicate with relatives back home. Register your presence with your embassy if you haven't already. This allows them to contact you in an emergency and provides a record of you being in the country. Reach out to family and friends. This is frequently the simplest and most efficient way of obtaining quick financial assistance. Just make sure you clearly and honestly describe the circumstances. Request a gift or loan to pay for necessary costs, a flight home, or an extension of your visa. This can be facilitated rapidly by international money transfer services like Western Union or MoneyGram. You could also have them sell it to you. It might be the wisest course of action to prevent more issues if family members or friends only get you a one-way trip home. If repatriation is not your first option, or you wish to remain in the Philippines, you must take all the required actions to stabilize your financial situation and obtain legal status. If you can work remotely for clients outside of the Philippines and your visa permits it, this is a great option. Examples include writing, graphic design, online training, programming, and virtual assistance. Ensure that your visa category allows this type of work. You could consider offering informal job services like tutoring, online language instruction for non Filipinos, or specialized consulting as long as it meets your visa requirements. You could also sell items that are non essential. Online marketplaces in the Philippines, such as Facebook Marketplace and local classified ads, can be useful. For valuable items, pawnshops are an option, but beware of the redemption periods and interest rates. Another job expats venture into is teaching English to international students online. If you have the necessary skills and equipment, this can be a dependable source of income and is often done remotely. Another thing you could do is relocate to a less expensive neighborhood or think about sharing housing. This is often the most cost effective solution. Instead of dining out, you could start making your meals at home. This is always a less expensive option. To assess fresh produce, visit local markets by using buses, tricycles, and jeepneys instead of cabs or ride hailing services. Cut out all unnecessary expenses, including entertainment, dining out, and impulse purchases. Review your health insurance coverage if you have it. If not, exercise extreme caution with your daily activities. You don't want to do anything extreme to incur a medical crisis. While public hospitals tend to be more affordable, they may have fewer resources and longer wait times. Although they typically serve low income residents, expats seldom get the same grace because they are all viewed as wealthy. What you can do is enroll in a basic local health plan like PhilHealth if you qualify. Just make sure you look out for predatory lenders who pose as the real deal. They can offer you unofficial loans with exorbitant interest rates. If possible, secure a loan from family or friends rather than local financial institutions unless you fully understand the terms. If you have credit cards, make sure to only use them when necessary. You don't want to use up your last line of emergency funds. Using them carelessly on Filipinas or unnecessary expenses can incur high interest rates and leave you with no leverage. Embassy repatriation loan. As stated before, some embassies may provide this as a last resort. Before your visa expires, visit the closest Bureau of Immigration office. While the Bureau of Immigration is not obligated to waive fees due to financial hardship, being proactive and transparent is better than waiting until you're in overstay. By going to the Bureau of Immigration, paying the required fines and penalties, and requesting an extension or an immigration clearance certificate to leave the country, you can frequently make up for any short term overstay. Any expat leaving the Philippines after a lengthy stay, usually more than 6 months after having their visa extended, or with an immigration difficulty, must have an ECC, Immigration Clearance Certificate. It attests to the fact that you have no outstanding debts or immigration infractions. You must obtain it a few days before your scheduled departure, and you cannot leave the country without it if they require it at the airport. The most critical aspect of managing financial distress in the Philippines is maintaining a legal immigration status. Being placed on a blacklist is a serious penalty that may limit your future international travel options. The following are some factors that may result in blacklisting: prolonged overstaying, particularly if you stay for months or years longer than is permitted without making an effort to normalize your status. The next step is deportation. If you are officially deported because you committed crimes, overstayed, or engaged in unlawful activity, such as working without a permit. Another is failure to settle fines or penalties. Not paying assessed overstay fines or other immigration penalties. The next is undesirable conduct, which includes actions that the Philippine government deems unpleasant. Lastly, criminal offenses include any crime committed in the Philippines. To ensure a safe departure and prevent blacklisting, follow these steps. Number one, prioritize visa extensions. Despite your financial difficulties, Make an effort to obtain the funds for visa extensions. Compared to avoiding deportation and paying overstay charges, it is far less expensive. The Bureau of Immigration has discretion, and it's always preferable to be perceived as proactive in handling your status. Number two, avoid working in the Philippines illegally. Never work for someone else without permission. Blacklisting and deportation are inevitable outcomes of this. It is explicitly forbidden for tourists or expats to work. Seek legal options for a work visa if you must work. This involves a sponsoring employer and a lot of documentation. Number three, pay off all fines and penalties. If you do overstay, voluntarily contact the Bureau of Immigration. Your fines will be determined by them. Give them your whole payment. Getting receipts is important. The Bureau of Immigration gives preference to voluntary departure, particularly if all debts have been paid in full. Number four, obtain an Immigration Clearance Certificate, ECC. You will probably require an ECC in order to depart the country if you have overstayed, even after paying fines, had a longer visa, or are a long term resident. A few days prior to your flight, apply for the ECC at the Bureau of Immigration office. Be prepared for processing time and fees. Number five, seek legal counsel if necessary. If you have a complicated issue, such as a lengthy overstay or ongoing case, or a notification from the Bureau of Immigration, you should think about speaking with a respectable Philippine immigration attorney. They can assist you from being blacklisted, negotiate on your behalf, and walk you through the process. Expats are unlikely to receive free legal aid from the Public Attorney's Office, which primarily assists impoverished Filipino people. Pro bono services, however, may be available for certain instances from certain NGOs or legal schools. A list of local attorneys may also be available at your embassy. Number six, maintain accurate documentation. Keep all of your immigration paperwork readily available and organized, including your passport, visa stamps, official receipts for extensions and fines, and any correspondence you may have with the Bureau of Immigration. Having them on hand helps speed up procedures and demonstrate your compliance. Number seven, avoid absconding or ignoring Bureau of Immigration notices. Trying to leave the country before your immigration status has been cleared or ignoring Bureau of Immigration notices will make matters worse, and nearly certain that you will be placed on a blacklist and may be detained. Preventing such occurrences in the first place is the greatest long term strategy and crisis management. The first step is to create an emergency fund before you move to the Philippines or as soon as you get there. Try to accumulate enough money for 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in case of emergencies. This fund should ideally be easily accessible, perhaps in Philippine pesos or your home currency. Unexpected events like job loss, experiencing a medical emergency, or having to return home unexpectedly should be specifically covered by this fund. Make sure you have a steady and dependable source of income, such as a pension, a steady job with the appropriate work visa, or a strong remote work arrangement that doesn't conflict with the restrictions of your visa. If at all feasible, diversify your sources of income. Purchase a quality international health insurance policy that will protect you while you are in the Philippines and ideally will provide medical evacuation back to your home country in the event that it becomes necessary. For expats, local insurance such as PhilHealth is extremely limited. The next thing is to create a realistic budget and stick to it. Keep a careful eye on your spending. Avoid living above your means or living paycheck to paycheck, even if the cost of living seems modest. Unexpected costs can arise. The next thing after that is understanding Philippines laws and culture. Educate yourself on local laws, particularly immigration, labor, and property laws. Be mindful of cultural variations, particularly when it comes to financial expectations from local partners or friends, as miscommunications can cause financial stress. Maintaining relationships with family members back home can provide emotional and, if necessary, financial support. You could also make connections with other expats living in the Philippines. They can provide valuable insights, resources, and a feeling of belonging. Now, let me tell you a story about an expat named John, a 65-year-old retiree from the US who moved to a coastal town in the Philippines on an SRRV, Special Residence Retirees Visa. At first, he had enough money saved. However, his finances were drastically reduced by unforeseen medical costs and a sharp decline in the value of his domestic investments. He became aware that he was unable to pay his rent or his next visa extension. John instantly reduced his expenditure on non essential items. He called the U.S. Embassy in Manila and gave an explanation of his circumstances. They told him they could help with emergency travel paperwork and help him get in touch with family, but they couldn't give him money immediately. He informed his landlord about his financial difficulties and tried to negotiate a temporary reduction in rent or a move to a smaller room. He contacted and explained his medical expenses and investment losses to his adult children in the United States. Then they sent him some money to cover a few months' worth of essential living expenses as well as his visa extension. He was lucky. Most children born in the United States are not so responsible with their money. Either they don't have it because of bad financial decisions or whatever. Additionally, John sold some expensive electronics that he had imported from the United States. John visited the Philippine Retirement Authority and the Bureau of Immigration to complete his SRRV renewal using the money he received from his kids. He collected formal receipts and made sure all fees were paid. He gave the Bureau of Immigration officer a thorough explanation of his circumstances and emphasized his desire to abide by all rules. John made a decision to relocate to a less crowded neighborhood and take a much smaller, less expensive apartment. He began looking into internet remote employment prospects, thinking of doing freelance writing or editing for clients abroad, which, so long as he wasn't working for a Philippine company, wouldn't be against his SRRV rules. In order to augment his limited foreign coverage, he also looked into choices for more reasonably priced local health insurance or a basic plan. He made a strict budget, prioritizing his visa and living expenses. Had John overstayed, he would have accumulated fines, faced potential detention, and likely been blacklisted. It was possible that his SRRV, a coveted visa, would have been cancelled. He would have been deported and blacklisted right away if he had begun teaching English in a private school or working in a neighborhood bar without the required work visa and AEP. One thing I can tell you, if you ever get to this point, don't resort to panhandling or begging. This is considered highly undesirable conduct here and could lead to severe immigration issues. If his visa status hadn't been addressed, things would have gotten considerably more complicated and expensive later on, and he could have potentially been forced to depart the country in a distressed state. To conclude, running out of money in the Philippines is a frightening possibility that carries both personal and legal risk. Proactive planning, prompt action, open communication, rigorous adherence to immigration laws, and obtaining the right help are essential for handling such a situation safely and without running the risk of being placed on a blacklist. While the Philippine government does not offer financial welfare for foreign nationals, your home country's embassy or consulate is a vital resource for emergency assistance and guidance. Even in the event of financial hardship, maintaining your legal visa status must be your top priority in order to prevent penalties, detention, deportation, and blacklisting. By exploring legal income generation, drastically cutting expenses, and diligently settling all immigration obligations, expats can mitigate the worst case scenario and, if necessary, facilitate a safe and lawful return to their home country. In the end, prevention is always the best course of action. Setting up an emergency fund, finding steady work, and fully comprehending the financial and legal requirements of living abroad before a crisis strikes is essential. Alright, guys, that is all for today's show. If you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a good day.